What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and I feel like I should launch a merch line. I don't know if I should. I wear hats all the time. I feel like I should make a Geek Culture Explained hat. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So I'm probably a little bit late to this party by the time I'm recording this, but I have to do this, right? We're gonna push the rumor roundup to Saturday because I feel like this is something that we need to talk about. So in the Loki documentary, where they basically run over how they made Loki, they had a deleted scene, really like a series of deleted scenes, right? It was more like a montage, but Loki was supposed to get the Infinity Gauntlet. So the way this played out is that you basically ended up having like Michael Walden, who's like the head guy that's getting the whole show together, and that you had a whiteboard behind him. And this whiteboard had like all these different things on it, right? These different plot points, stuff like that. And one of them was that Loki was supposed to escape to a different time period and then do a whole bunch of mischievous stuff, right? Like have a bunch of sex. Not even lying, that's one of the things that were there. But one of the things he was also supposed to do was basically get all the Infinity Stones for himself and then assemble the Infinity Gauntlet, and then use the Infinity Gauntlet to basically take power, do a bunch of other mischievous stuff, have a lot more sex, and then things just kind of go back to normal, right? He realizes like, okay, this isn't really interesting or amazing. He goes back to the TVA, the Infinity Stones depower, and then Mobius shows him the full might of the Time Variance Authority, right? So it was only supposed to be like a really, really short segment, but I feel like that would have been cool. Now, having said that, maybe that's the scene that we saw from the trailer where you had Loki who like came down off the throne that looked like he had taken over as like the ruler of Asgard or something along those lines. But Loki with the Infinity Stones sounds amazing, man. And I don't know why they scrapped that, right? It was only supposed to be a montage, like a short thing. Sure, they could have left out like all the dirty stuff, right? They didn't have to include all that. But Loki with the Infinity Gauntlet would have been awesome. And I'm so sad that we didn't get to see that because I thought it would have been so cool. But having said that, you know, when it comes to the idea of the Infinity Gauntlet, there's room for that. And I think that one of the things you're actually gonna end up seeing in the future is you're actually gonna find out that there are like what if universes where that actually happened. It's one of the things a lot of people tend to forget when it comes to the return of the multiverse, is that the multiverse is an answer to the question, whatever can happen, will happen. There's just an alternate reality out there where it takes place, right? So there's an alternate universe where Loki never stopped impersonating Odin in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the play they put on basically went on forever. And Matt Damon plays Loki until the end of time. I have no idea, but there are alternate universes where that kind of stuff takes place. And I wanna see that alternate reality where Loki gets the Infinity Gauntlet. And I don't care about the other dirty stuff, but I wanna see the alternate reality where he gets the Infinity Gauntlet, because I can only imagine how that happens, right? I can only imagine how that plays out. It seems like it'd be pretty quick, right? Like, I don't think you would have all that other stuff in there, but I think that you'd basically see Loki take the gauntlet for himself. He'd kill Thanos, right? Just like that. Like Thanos would be gone, probably snap, right? No pun intended, but probably snap Thanos out of existence and then seize control of Asgard for himself, right? Because a lot of people asked the question when they were watching Avengers Endgame and that kind of stuff, like, could Hela have defeated Thanos? Could like Odin have defeated Thanos? In the comics, no, not even by a little bit. But when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, probably. I mean, I don't really see any reason why they couldn't. Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? No, like there's no way they would have won, right? Thanos would have just eradicated them with the greatest of ease with the Infinity Gauntlet. It really begs the question, would it work on Surtur? Technically, the Infinity Gauntlet does affect everything in the universe, which includes pocket dimensions in universes, right? Everything inside a universe. And because the realm of like Surtur and Hela and all those characters are in pocket dimensions, that if they'd survived to the events, well, we assume Surtur survived, there's nothing to indicate that he died, but like if he was alive during the events of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, yeah, it stands to reason he would have been blinked out of existence. We've never seen it happen, but in Marvel Comics, they've largely alluded to the idea the Infinity Gauntlet can kill people who are just massively powerful, right? I mean, it defeated cosmic entities, why wouldn't it defeat Surtur? But nonetheless, you know, it's one of these things where having that kind of a story in the MCU would have been great, right? It would have been absolutely awesome. But even as I think about that, I'm kind of led to believe it probably would have played out the same way, right? It's really kind of hard to tell, because one of the great things about the Loki TV show is it forced Loki to think about things he wouldn't normally think about, right? Like, would Loki have become the person that we saw in the Loki TV show by the time the series ended, had it not been for his exposure to the TVA? Had he not been forced to witness the fact that like his actions led to the death of his mom in terms of Mobius sitting him in a chair and making him watch that? Would we have seen it? Like, would he have turned into that kind of person? I don't think so, man. Like, I don't know. So it could have been one of these things where it's like he got the Infinity Gauntlet and was like, yeah, man, and then goes nuts with power, right? Just goes absolutely bonkers and never like atones for his past mistakes and never realizes that like there's more out there to life than like glorious purpose. I don't know if I agree with that statement. But it's a cool thing, right? It's an awesome thing. So I don't know, it's a cool little segment, and I really wish they'd included it in the show. That really begs the question, what else did they leave out in the show, right? Because I really wish they would have included old King Loki. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, right? Like Loki the All Butcher, we talked about that before here on the channel, but Loki the All Butcher is nuts. Loki the All Butcher is basically a version of Loki who killed all the superheroes on Earth. He killed everybody on Earth, right? Like all the humans and everything, and even all the superheroes. He basically eradicated all life on Earth. And then there's a point where he gets the all black necro sword and basically becomes like this being that's imbued with the living abyss. The living abyss is basically the substance that created like the symbiotes in Marvel Comics, like Venom, Carnage, all those guys. It was originally wielded by Null, but he eventually gets that and then just becomes like the All Butcher. Ultimately, he's killed by Gore when Gore comes back, but it's still a cool thing, right? Like that twisted version of Loki from the future. He looks evil, man. Like he looks like such a villain, and it looks amazing. But I would love to have seen that in the movies, man. Like I would love to have seen that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I feel like it would have been great. But let me know down in the comments section, right? Let me know down in the comments what other like alternate possibilities of Loki you want to see, right? Let's say, for example, they do in the Marvel Cinematic Universe what they do in the comics, at least these days anyway, where they craft a whole what if line of comics around a singular event, right? Like Infinity, where like Thanos showed up on Earth and he was facing off against like his son and the Inhumans and ultimately defeated by his son. And Avengers were like out in space fighting this group called the Builders who were gonna like eradicate the Earth. But there's like a what if story where like, what if Thanos had joined the Avengers in space and helped them like fight the Builders? What if that had happened, right? So like, what if they end up doing that with a Loki TV show, right? So like, what if Loki? And it's just like all these possible alternate realities where things went different in the Loki TV series, or like other realities where like Lokis are there, we just didn't get to see what those Lokis looked like. Like, what version of Loki would you want to see? Let me know that down in the comments, because I'm curious to see what your all's responses are, man. But I gotta say, not seeing Loki with the Infinity Gauntlet is vastly disappointing. It's like one of those things where I wish they hadn't told me, because then I never would have known what I was missing. But nonetheless, it's a cool little revelation to have there. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this to an end. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.